Hi, this is Benjamin Day, and this is the Where to Buy project and how to use the Focus First slides that graphically visualize the Colorado Springs real estate market. To begin with, I wanted to look at the odds of selling. This is one of the unique characteristics that Focus First slides provide, which is asking questions that normally are not asked. Most market analyses simply look at price. This looks at trends, this looks at flow, this looks at a big factor like probability. And if you look at North Fork at Briargate, an extremely popular new construction neighborhood near Pine Creek High School, last year 90% of the listings in that neighborhood sold. And you compare that to the previous year, 62% of those listings sold. What's also very relevant on this slide, at the top right, you will see how many listings are for sale now. One! So there were 16 that closed in 2015, and there were 35 that closed in the previous calendar year as the neighborhood really started to get legs and to take off. And at the end of that year, a single house was available for sale, as two more were available were under contract. Looking at the time to sell average, what's nice on the time to sell is it shows an average price for the whole area based on the data that's pulled. And so in this graph, we see that the average price for Bent Tree and Higbee Estates last year was $690,000. But what's also relevant is that it shows you visually where the majority of those properties sold. So in this neighborhood, what we see is that it was common to see sales between 600 and 825. 690 wasn't some point that was sitting out there, not attached to any sort of real market sale. This is where the bulk of the sales was between $600,000 and $800,000. There's additional helpful information on this slide because it shows the top and bottom of the marketplace. The scale here in Bent Tree and Higbee is going from $400,000 to just over $1 million. That's the scale on the left to right. And it also shows how long things take to sell. So in this area, on average, they were taking 168 days. But what you'll normally find on these slides is that 60% or more of the sales will be on the left-hand side of that slide. That 168 usually gets pulled to the right, or longer time on market, by a few outliers. And in this case, there were 3 properties in 2016 that sold in excess of 400 days, and they had a disproportionate value on the time on market because their time was so lengthy. Lastly, we want to look at the buying pattern for an area, and we want to see what's happening over the course of the year. This is in Pleasant Valley, the always hot neighborhood near Garden of the Gods in West Colorado Springs. And what you can see is through the course of the calendar year, prices steadily increased. There was a pocket of sales that happened at the start of the year. There was another pocket of sales right in mid-year when I had a couple of buyers purchase and close. And then as the year progressed, the prices kept escalating upwards. Some of this has to do with the quality of the homes that were for sale during these individual times. Another part of this has to do with the fact that trailing sales simply were pushing the later values higher and higher in the marketplace. Hope you find that information helpful.